Welcome to this supplementary video guide on Comprehension Strategies, which is part of Education Scotland's guidelines for early reading. This video is part of an overall suite of resources organised across three main areas illustrated here. This overall resource can be accessed on the Education Scotland website. This supplementary video has been created as an appendix to the Considering the 5 Components of Reading video and provides a more detailed breakdown of some reading comprehension strategies. In the following slides, we will further explore the area of comprehension as one of the 5 components of reading. This includes an introduction to reading comprehension strategies as an important aspect of early reading instruction. We will begin by briefly revisiting some of the research about comprehension which was explored in the 5 components video. This highlighted the importance of providing a range of day-to-day comprehension opportunities across the curriculum. These can be developed orally through a variety of media. We also learned that children benefit from the explicit modelling of reading comprehension strategies, allowing them to hear a proficient reader thinking aloud before being given opportunities to practice this for themselves in a supported way. This quote from Harvey and Goodvis reminds us that it's not about the teaching strategies for strategy's sake. Instead, our focus should be upon teaching learners to use strategies purposefully to read any text with new understanding. It is unlikely that children will apply these strategies in isolation one at a time. We may need to introduce them individually, modelling and explaining how we use them to understand a text. However, as children begin to use them more naturally, it can be hard to separate them. Shanahan emphasises the benefits of teaching a combination of strategies. We can assist learners to utilise the best strategies flexibly as and when they are needed. As children become more experienced readers, they will use these strategies without thinking about them. We will start by exploring some potential comprehension strategies taken from the Put Reading First guidance document. You may encounter classroom resources that outline different strategies or that use different names that appear to be similar. There is likely to be a great deal of crossover between these strategies, but when we engage with them, we should be able to recognise their alignment with Scotland's experiences and outcomes for literacy and English. The first strategy on this slide is monitoring comprehension. Learners who are good at monitoring their comprehension know when they understand what they read and when they do not. They have strategies to fix up problems in their understanding as those problems arise. The next strategy is answering and generating questions. According to Put Reading First, research shows that adults' questioning strongly supports and advances children's learning from reading. In addition, teaching children to ask their own questions improves their active processing of text and their comprehension. By generating questions, learners become aware of whether they can answer the questions and if they understand what they are reading. This advice also aligns with the literacy and English experiences and outcomes, which encourage learners to ask questions to help them understand texts. At first level, children can show their understanding by responding to different types of questions about a text. These are literal questions, which are straightforward using phonics, illustrations, context and language structure to make a factual response. We can use these questions to help learners read on the lines of a text. Inferential questions, which will not have a direct answer, so the reader relies on clues from the text and their own background knowledge. We can use these questions to help learners read between the lines of a text. Evaluative questions ask the reader to react to the text, making decisions by evaluating the information provided. We can use these questions to help learners read beyond the lines of a text. Children may also learn to create some questions of their own. Graphic or semantic organisers can help to create a visual representation of the text. They can be used to break down a text, helping learners to follow the storyline or collect information. For example, sequencing pictures to retell a story or labeling a drawing to show the details they have gathered from the text. Using mental imagery. Good readers often form mental pictures or images as they read. Readers, especially younger readers, who visualize during reading, understand and remember what they read better than readers who do not visualize. Through discussion, educators can support children to form a mental image as they read, modelling our thinking out loud to build a greater understanding of the text. Recognizing story and text structure. Story structure refers to the way the content and events of a story are organized into a plot. Learners who can recognize story structure have greater appreciation, understanding, and memory for stories. Children may learn to recognize story structure through the use of story maps. This strategy has been extended to include wider text structure. Various kinds of text place different demands on children, so learning to recognize the variety of structures across texts is an important comprehension strategy. Summarizing requires learners to determine what is important in the text they are reading, to condense this information and to put it into their own words. This can be a challenging skill for young learners. Using a 5-finger retell approach may be a helpful scaffold. Using finger prompts to encourage children to recall the characters, setting, problem, events, and solution from the story in turn. A 25-word challenge can also encourage learners to summarize the story in 25 words or less, using the word prompts who, what, where, when, why, and how. Children may begin to summarize the story using a couple of the word prompts to help them. With practice, they could then start to incorporate more of the word prompts. This may take their summary to more than 25 words, but they can revisit to cut the words down. Children draw upon their background knowledge and experiences to help them to understand what they are reading. The more connections we can make to a text, the more likely we are to comprehend what we read. Children will all approach reading with very different background knowledge and experiences. This could be linked to their interests, local communities, or things that their family do together. As shown on the slide, we can encourage learners to discuss meaning in a text, making connections to their own experience, linking to other texts they've encountered, or their knowledge of the world around them. The Curriculum for Excellence, Literacy in English, Experiences and Outcomes encourage children working at the early level to develop their understanding of stories and other texts by linking what they are learning to what they already know. As they progress, children are increasingly able to consider how the writer's message relates to their own experiences. Predicting could also be added to this list as an important strategy, as making predictions encourages readers to be active in the process of reading by thinking ahead and asking questions. Prediction and prior knowledge are interconnected. We can't predict without drawing upon prior knowledge. Sources and signposted resources for this video have been included in the 5 components section. For more practical ideas of how to use comprehension strategies, you may find our national webinar and accompanying Padlet with suggested resources useful.